Pittsburgh in 1820 is a city of 7,248 people at the meeting of the Allegheny and Monongahela, where the Ohio begins. It is also one of the fastest-growing manufacturing towns in the young United States, and almost everyone who approaches it sees the same thing first: smoke. A traveler comes in over the hills in 1816 and finds the town half hidden before he reaches the river. Dark, dense smoke was rising from many parts, he writes, and a hovering cloud of vapor makes the whole prospect singularly gloomy. Another guide in 1817 says the smoke hangs over the town and falls in fine dust that blackens every object. By 1818, one emigrant guide is already calling the atmosphere a continued cloud of coal dust. The city is growing fast, earning money fast, and covering itself in soot just as quickly. That transformation begins with geography. Pittsburgh sits at the Forks, the place where two rivers become one. And for the early republic, that means movement, trade, and reach. Before the great factories define it, the town grows through shops, river traffic, and boat building. By 1800, with a population of 1,565, it already has more than 60 shops, from general stores to bakeries to hat and shoe shops. Between 1790 and 1810, boat building is arguably its most important industry. Flatboats head downriver. Keelboats work upstream. The city learns early that wood, water, and labor can be turned into money. Then steam arrives, and the stakes change. On October 20th, 1811, the steamboat New Orleans leaves Pittsburgh on a journey of more than 1,800 miles down the Ohio and Mississippi. It reaches New Orleans on January 10th, 1812, proving that steam navigation on western waters is not a fantasy. Steam spreads from the river into mills and ironworks. By 1812, the local firm of Oliver and Evans is manufacturing steam engines. What had been a river town now starts to behave like a machine. War accelerates everything. The War of 1812 cuts off the flow of British goods, and American manufacturing surges to fill the gap. Pittsburgh benefits more than most places because it already has coal, river transport, ironworking skill, and the habits of a workshop. By 1815, the city is producing $764,000 in iron, $249,000 in brass and tin, and $235,000 in glass products. In March 1816, when Pittsburgh is incorporated as a city, it already carries the marks that will define it for generations: commerce, manufacture, and what one history describes as a constant cloud of coal dust. And that cloud is not a figure of speech. It settles on clothing, walls, streets, and snow. Kramer's navigator says even snow can scarcely be called white in Pittsburgh. The smoke overhangs the town, descends in fine dust, and stains the people inside their houses as surely as it stains the buildings outside them. Darby's Emigrant's Guide says, "The atmosphere holds a continued cloud of coal dust." Henry Bradshaw Fearon, writing in 1818, says, "The smoke is extreme, giving the town and its inhabitants a very somber aspect." Yet in the same breath, he reports that an English medical gentleman living there insists there is not a more healthy place in the United States. That contrast matters. Visitors are often appalled, but local life keeps moving. The dirt is visible, the smoke is constant, and the complaints are real. Yet the city does not treat them as a reason to slow down. It treats them as part of the bargain. The same fuel that blackens every object also powers the furnaces, the workshops, the river trade, and the climb itself. Later generations in Pittsburgh will put that logic even more bluntly and say smoke means money, but the city is already living by that rule in the 1810s. By 1817, the place has 259 factories and manufactories. That is an extraordinary number for a city so young and still so small. In 1818, the Monongahela Bridge opens. In 1820, the first bridge over the Allegheny opens as well. Population rises from 1,565 in 1800 to 4,768 in 1810, then to 7,248 in 1820. This is not a town drifting into industrial life by accident. It is choosing it, organizing itself around it, and building the roads, boats, bridges, and furnaces to hold the choice in place. The city's reputation follows quickly. Long before the Great Steel Age, Pittsburgh is already becoming the smoky city in the national imagination. The rivers carry its goods outward, and the travelers carry its image with them. They remember the haze in the air, the soot on surfaces, the strange spectacle of a place that seems to grow stronger the dirtier it becomes. What shocks a stranger can look like proof of vitality to the people making a living there. And this is where the title starts to make sense. Nobody cared is not literally true. The record shows that people notice. They write about the smoke. They describe the dust. They complain about the blackened view. But what the city does not yet produce is a serious public will to stop the process that is causing it. Smoke is still tied too closely to progress, to wages, to traffic on the rivers, to the feeling that the Republic is expanding west and Pittsburgh is profiting from the movement. That attitude lasts far beyond 1820. For more than a century, smoke remains part of Pittsburgh's identity. Only in 1941 does the city pass a strong smoke control law, and even that is slowed by World War II. The real clearing begins after the war. Between 1945 and 1950, more than half of Pittsburgh households switch from coal to natural gas, and the shift from coal-burning locomotives to diesel-electric power helps the sky open even further. By the second half of the 20th century, the air is cleaner, the buildings are cleaned, and the hills begin to look green again. Today, the city still tells that older story at its birthplace. Fort Pitt Museum stands inside Point State Park at the Forks, where Pittsburgh begins, and its historic neighbor, the Fort Pitt Block House, survives as the oldest structure in the city. Stand there now, and the air is not what those travelers describe in 1816, 1817, and 1818. The rivers are still there. The position is still strategic. The ambition is still obvious. What has changed is the old bargain. In 1820, Pittsburgh is willing to live inside smoke because smoke looks like the future. That choice helps build one of America's great industrial cities, and it leaves behind a lesson written first in coal dust, then in cleaner stone at the point where the city begins.